Hi everyone and welcome to Accessibility with Meg. This is Meg. What you see on screen is Spider-Man trying to know all about the NVDA screen reader. Actually, I do not own a Windows machine and so I can't demonstrate NVDA and how it's used, but I will walk through like a practical step-by-step path so we understand and learn NVDA from what it is to how it's used in web testing. Okay. The most important skills are installing NVDA and learning the basic control keys, just practicing basic things of how to read, how to navigate through web pages using the keyboard, etc. To start with installation, you can download NVDA for Windows from the official NV Access source, and you can install it and then launch it from the Start menu or the desktop shortcut. Okay. Now, how we turn it on and off, the common shortcuts used would be Ctrl, Alt, and N to start, and NVDA plus Q to quit. Now, I'll tell you what the NVDA key is in a bit, but that's what you would press, the NVDA and Q to quit. And to start NVDA, you would do Control, Alt, and N. Okay. The NVDA key, it's basically a modifier key. And what we mean by modifier key is that it is a key that helps you in combination with other keys to do something, right? So by default, NVDA uses a modifier key or an NVDA key as we would call it, and that's often a insert. But many users switch to caps lock for convenience. So it's either insert or caps lock, and that would be your NVDA key. So when you press your NVDA key together with other keys, you get to do a lot of things with NVDA. Okay. For example, the NVDA key and the down arrow to read continuously from the current position. You use arrow keys to move line by line, okay, word by word or character by character as well, okay. And when you press a Control key, you would stop speech when you need to pause and think, okay. So these are the main things that you have to remember. First, NVDA has an NVDA modifier key, which could either be a insert or a caps lock key. The NVDA and the down arrow key, you can continuously read from that current position, okay? Now you need to also remember that the arrow keys, they help you to move line by line, word by word, or character by character. And this would depend upon the up and down arrows, left and right arrow key, the way that you press it, right? You press Control to stop speech. Okay, so say your screen reader is continuously reading. You want to stop it from saying anything, you just press Control to pause temporarily. Now, there are two modes within NVDA that we work with. One is the browse mode, and the other is what we call the focus or the forms mode. The browse mode is for reading and navigating web content, okay? And the focus mode is for typing into forms and interacting with controls. So basically, if you have a form on the screen, you automatically go into the forms mode as you tab through all the different elements on the form, right? Now, the browse mode, it's for reading and navigating. You change between modes by pressing the space bar. So when you press the space bar, you can hear a little sound, a change of sound, and you would know if you're in the browse or in the forms mode as you continue to use this, right? I can't demonstrate it, like I said, but you get the idea. And then you have, you just need to learn how to switch between the two modes. Today's NVDA versions actually automatically let you move between browse and focus mode. But if you have to move manually, like when you start, you will have to press your space bar to move to browse mode, okay? Or back to focus mode. So it's a toggle. Now, the master web navigation keys, so using single letter commands to jump around the page is what we do in the browse mode. Important keys, which would be like the H key for headings, K for links, B for buttons, F for forms, and T for tables. You could use P for paragraphs as well, right? So there are others, like a Q for a quotation. Just there are some others, but the most important ones are the headings, H, K for links, B for buttons, F for form fields, and T for tables. You could also use G for graphics. So when you want to go from image to image, you would keep pressing the G key, and you would go to all the images on the screen, right? So the use shift plus any of these keys to move backwards. So if you want to continue to browse using your screen reader backwards, you would do a shift and that particular key. So if you want to move to the previous heading, it would be a shift and an H. Now, if you want to say for H keys, you have H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So there are different levels of headings that you can have. For browsing between H1, H2, H3 to H6, you press the H key and the number beside it. So if I'm saying H and I'm in the browse mode, I'm saying H and I'm pressing the number, say 1, it goes to the next H1 element on the page. If I want to go back previous, then I press the Shift, H, and 1, right? So it takes me to the previous H1. And if you keep pressing 1 thereafter, it keeps taking you to the next or the previous H1, depending on the combinations of the keys. To open the elements list, which simply means to be able to browse through a list of all the elements on the page, you would go to you would press basically NVDA and the F7 key. Okay, this lets you review headings, links, buttons, and form fields in one place. So it's if you remember the voiceover lesson, we learned that you can do that by opening up on the browser the rotor, right? Similar to that, you have a elements list, and you can open the elements list by pressing the NVDA and F7 key. And this is especially useful for accessibility testing because it helps you quickly spot structure and labeling problems. Okay. Those are the basic keys. When you go to forms and form controls, you have things like the shift and tab to move between interactive elements. So you tab and shift tab, right? So to move between the elements, so you can tab through all the elements, and shift tab to tab backwards. If you want to choose or click on a link or a button, you want to activate it, you would press enter or spacebar on checkboxes and similar controls as well. So it's like enter on links or buttons, and spacebar works with checkboxes. Sometimes spacebar works even with links and buttons. Okay, so for text fields, drop downs, radio buttons, and error messages. You need to basically go through these elements using your tab and shift tab, or go through the forms mode and go or with the F, pressing the F key, and you go from one element to the other. It's very important to actually practice this, because you can understand how NVDA announces form behavior, right? So just announces just about anything on the page. So it's important to do a run. Also, we have something called a speech viewer. Now, the speech viewer, it shows the spoken output as text. Okay, so that's very helpful when you're learning or you're testing, right? The way that you would do it is you will turn on speech viewer from the menu. Okay, so we have an NVDA menu, and NVDA plus N, I think, opens the NVDA menu. Okay, so the NVDA key and N will open the NVDA menu. And when you're in that menu, you have under tools something called a speech viewer. You can turn that on for you to be able to see the spoken output as text. So a little window opens up and then you can see it as text over there. Okay, so it is especially useful if you want to compare and say what, like you want to understand, say, what NVDA is saying with what's visible on the screen, right? So there's one thing about speech viewer. Speech viewer content alone does not completely tell you that that the screen reader is working properly. You have to sit through with the screen reader and understand it physically. Not just rely on the speech viewer, because there have been cases where people just leave the speech viewer on and they leave, and when they're back they just go through the speech viewer to see if everything's okay. Sometimes everything might be okay, but the way it's displayed and the way it's read would be two totally different things. Sometimes it's being read out of context and you wouldn't realize it. So you need to sit through every set, everything that's being read out with the screen reader, right? So you need to sit through it and not just rely on the speech viewer. But the speech viewer is a very useful tool if you want to cut and copy paste a small part of it, to use it as evidencing, to say that this part has this issue, right? So if you want to point out an issue and you need something to evidence that with, then you could use a little cut from the speech viewer. So the way that you would use it, I'm just going to go over it one more time, is you would, assuming you have NVDA installed on your computer already, you either just click on that and start NVDA from your dock or from wherever the application's installed, or you could just press Ctrl Alt N to start NVDA. And the way you would quit NVDA is NVDA plus Q. Now, when you first start it, it's going to ask you which modifier key you choose, which could be either insert or caps lock. So choose the one that you want, and both work the same. I generally choose caps lock because it's easier to, it's a bigger key, it's on the left side and it's just right there, and it's easier to use than an insert key. So I generally switch to caps lock. So assuming my NVDA key is caps lock, so I have caps lock on. If I want to go into the menu and I want to start the speech viewer, or I want to see through the menu and understand, I want to change the speech rate, I want to do other things like change the voice of the person speaking, things like that, you can go into the menu and make those changes. And you would do that with by pressing the NVDA and the N key, which will open up the menu for you, and then you tab through and find what you want. Okay. When you're browsing and you're on the page, you want to switch between the browse mode and the forms mode, you would use your space bar. So when you press your space bar, and you can hear this little sound, which will tell you in which mode you are. As you keep using it, you'll understand that sound, okay? So once you're in the browse mode, you should be able to just use the letters to browse through the different elements on the page. For example, headings would be H, paragraphs is P, lists is L, links is K, graphics is G, tables is T, forms is F. Okay, so just some examples. Quotations Q, I think landmarks is D. Okay, so you have like different keys that you can use to kind of go through your web page with a browse in the browse mode. To switch to forms mode, if you're on a form, you automatically switch in some of the NVDA software. Otherwise, you need to press the space bar to toggle between those two modes. Okay. You use your arrow keys. So it's your NVDA and down arrow will allow you to continuously read from one position on the page. So wherever you are and you want to continuously read, it's NVDA and down arrow key. If you want NVDA to stop speaking, just press the Ctrl key. Okay. If you want to move line by line, you would use the arrow keys, up and down arrow keys, moving line by line, or word by word, the right arrow key, word by word, or character by character, right? And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it entails. You can use your tab keys to tab through all the elements of the page as well, and the shift tab to tab backwards. Now when you're in your browse mode and you're using your H key to move back or to the previous element, you would press the shift key and then that particular alphabet, right? So the elements list, you can open the elements list using F7. That's important. And I think these are like the basic things that you would use with the NVDA screen reader. It's not very difficult to work with NVDA. It's just a little different from how you would use VoiceOver. VoiceOver has it has different other commands, but they are more or less the same. Okay. So when you understand how to use a screen reader, all you have to also understand is how to use different commands, basically. So yeah, that's I'm going to stop speaking now, and I'm hoping that you and Spider-Man here has understood NVDA with just me speaking. Thank you so much, and if you like, please subscribe and like, share, comment. It would help me, and I will see you again. Okay, thank you, and bye-bye.